What's going on, people? This is Jesse Veal from jesseveal.com, and today's message is entitled They Live. If you're familiar with the 1980s film They Live, give you a quick synopsis, whether you're familiar or not. They Live is a sci-fi movie from the 1980s where aliens are invading Earth. But the only way that you can tell that who are the aliens, because the aliens are actually in disguise and they look like regular humans to the naked eye. And so the way that you're able to distinguish between the aliens and humans is that there's actual shades, these black shades, where if you put them on, you'll be able to see the aliens through the human disguises. Now, what are we talking about here? See, we're using that same metaphor to talk about matriarchal males and matriarchal females within the black community. You see, because it is very difficult to use your naked eye to be able to determine whether a black man or woman is a matriarchal or a patriarchal person. You see, you must have the ability to go beyond the surface, as in this pop culture movie here, this called classic. You see, because I mean, when you look at black men and black women, I mean, for all intents and purposes, we all look the same. We all look very similar on the surface in terms of phenotypically, how we dress, how we act and behave, right? Now, there are matriarchal males and females that do expose themselves by having such a horrible behavior that they're so far matriarchal that they're extremely toxic to the naked eye. You know, whether these guys are, you know, what we would call thugs in the community, guys that, you know, you can just tell by their energy. They have an overly aggressive energy about them. You know, these guys may have a lot of tattoos, gold teeth in their mouth. But, you know, those, you know, people may have tattoos or a lot of tattoos. They may not coincide with that behavior, right? But, you know, the best way you can tell by their behavior, how it's just an overly aggressive type energy in the men and the women. And so this is the problem within the black community, right? 2/3 of black people are matriarchal, only 1/3 are patriarchal. And so, you know, if you're living within the community, if you're not isolating yourself in silos with other patriarchal families, I mean, it's just going to be a situation where you're probably going to get engulfed and overrun by matriarchal people, right? In, you know, creating a matriarchal minded individual, it's very simple and easy. I mean, all you really need is them to grow up in a single mother household that they have no positive male influences and role models within that household. Because all the matriarchal is a female dominated ideology, whereas they're solely getting the mindsets, the ideas, the philosophies, and the meaning of life from that female perspective and that female perspective only, right? So a lot of times, you know, even if they have, like, you know, coaches here or there, if you don't have any serious day-to-day interactions and you're getting wisdom from that male figure, they're going to come up matriarchal. Because I mean, there's a lot of matriarchal men that have played sports, right? You know, look at cats like Odell Beckham Jr., talented guy, but as far as mindset, you can tell that he has a matriarchal mindset, and he may have actually grown up with a father, if I'm not mistaken, right? So he's extremely emotional, and you have to understand, just because you come from a 2-parent household doesn't mean you're not matriarchal. Because realize, right, you have matriarchal men that did grow up in single-parent households that are now deciding to take care of their kids and starting families. And so they're actually, even though they're in the 2-parent households, their father was in a single-parent household, so he's passing on that matriarchal mindset, right? And so, these people are in disguise. It takes some digging and understanding of their background and observation of their behavior to really see, are these guys matriarchal or are they patriarchal? You must really have deep discussions to understand what are their mindsets on leadership, what are their goals, what are their purpose in life, what are their mindsets on male-female relations, how do they feel the household should be run as far as the family, and who should be the leader, and things of this nature. Like, what things should you focus on within the household? See, because what you must understand about the matriarchal household, right? The major reasons for the creation of a matriarchal household is to, number one, to create inferior competition to the patriarchs that run this world that we live on. A matriarchal household would never, ever be able to overturn a patriarchal household. Never. You understand? And so that's one of the major goals of creating a matriarchal household. Now, the second major goal is for the capitalists, is because women are much more emotional spenders than men are. If you create households that are ran by the women, whether they have a man in it or not, whether the woman is the primary breadwinner, where the woman makes the financial decisions, then it's going to make it easier for the capitalists out there to exploit those families and to increase their revenues throughout the economy. I haven't verified what I'm about to say, but I've heard several people say that women make up 75% of the economy, in terms of they make up 75% of the spenders, people that are spending within the economy, because they are very much so emotional spenders. You understand? And in this, I have a story in my own life that can kind of confirm this. This whole thing about women being more emotional spenders. I remember a story that my mom would tell me, that my grandmother, her mother, was in a hospital, many years ago, before she had passed. She was in the hospital, and she seen the infomercials on television. They had the infomercials for like jewelry and stuff like that. And she would be in a hospital, ordering stuff from the infomercial and things like that. And my grandfather had to step in and bring all that stuff back, because he understood, like, okay, either we don't need this stuff or we can't afford it. You understand? But it's like women are so emotional because they see something they want and they just go ahead right and get it. And I've even seen instances where I've been in a store with women, right? And we just gonna get this one thing. We go in the store for one thing, and we come out for about 20, 30, 40 different things. Oh, this is on sale, that's on sale, yada yada yada. You know what I'm saying? Things that you may not really need at the moment. You didn't intend to get it, but they see it, and they see these marketing triggers, right? And they go ahead and get it. So this is the main two purposes of creating a matriarchal family, because men are supposed to bring structure and order into the home, into society, into the community. When you remove the patriarchal man, this is what you're removing from your society. You understand? and to the family on that particular level. And so when you have chaos, it is much easier to exploit the family. This is why when you look at statistics, you'll see that in the black community, the majority of men that are in jail come from single mother households. The majority of men that commit murder, that perpetrate most crimes, come from single mother household. You'll also see that children from single mother household are at a much, much higher risk of being molested or being sexually abused from single mother household. I mean, there's all these statistics from the Department of Justice and all of these different federal organizations that show you all the negative impact of a single mother household. Single mother households are more likely to have children living in poverty, right? Because you only have one income, which is from the mother. Okay, so all of these things. And listen, I'm not here to try to bang on single mother households. I don't like them. I don't want to marry a woman that came from a single mother household. I don't want my kids marrying from a single mother household because of the issues that it brings. And understand, right? It's not a perfect thing in the sense of every child from a single mother household doesn't mean they're going to be matriarchal, right? I mean, there's some kids in single mother household. Maybe their father is in their life and he's patriarchal. Maybe they have a series of positive patriarchal masculine mentors or examples that can tell them how to be a man, how to be masculine, how to be patriarchal. And that issue is covered. But when we talk about the majority, we talk about the rule and not the exception, okay? And so you have all these black people running around in our communities. You don't know if they're matriarchal or patriarchal, right? A lot of times you have to really get. I mean, because I keep it 100. I have friends that I grew up with, when I was younger, and some of these guys I'm still cool friends with, and they were raised by their mother or their aunt or their grandmother or all three, and they matriarchal. They have the same emotionalism and things of that nature. The way they handle things, it's just a lot of stuff with it. I'm not going to break down all of the behavior patterns and the emotional things that come with a matriarchal man or a woman, but I don't see it as good for our community. That's one of the reasons that I'm moving to Africa within the next few years. I'm actually be visiting in spring of 2009 to the city that I want to move to, which is Accra, Ghana. And I'll be looking at some properties out there and getting with some builders about building a nice size house out there for me to live in. And I'll be looking at some apartments that I can live in while I'm there. Cause I may actually stay for a while I'm out there, just to go ahead and have my laptop, because my business, I can run my business pretty much from anywhere in the world at this point, as long as they have a decent internet and power connection on my digital marketing agency. So, but yeah, they live, man. You got to get those shades, man. You got to chop it up with brothers and sisters and see where they're head at, and to really see, are these the kind of people that you want to befriend, associate yourself with, or you want your children to befriend and associate yourself with? You understand what I'm saying? Because the matriarchal male and females, man, they're definitely under disguise. I mean, you can't tell them no different a lot of times from the average patriarchal male man or woman. You know what I'm saying? You really have to observe and communicate with them and stuff like that. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Jesse Veal from jesseveal.com. The site is not up right now, but it will be soon, so just keep checking back to check out the site. But that's it. Peace.